everyone, Happy New Year. Hope you're okay, hope you've had a good one. Welcome back. It's a new year and a new start. New start for not only Thomas Tuchel, but for us as England fans and for the channel. So I hope you've all had a great Christmas, great New Year. Not done a live stream since the quiz, so if you were fortunate enough to join us for that quiz, thank you so much. I mean, there were some slight issues, but look, overall, I think most people managed to get their answers on and things like that. So it was great to celebrate that with you guys at the end of the year. I thought it was a really good quiz. Congratulations to who was it who won? I want to make sure I say the right name. I do know who won, but I'm just going to double check because I would hate to announce the wrong person. Yeah, Matt Attacks. So yeah, well done, mate. The parcel will be delivered tomorrow. So watch this space, or posted tomorrow, maybe not delivered. How is everybody? So I've managed to get the chat back up, so you'll start to see that come back up, and I will be going to the chat. So Bohemian, welcome. Josh Phillips, welcome. Gate 102 podcast, welcome. My two channel members, thank you all so much. Ricky Grimshaw, straight in. 7 years since Russia, 2018. That is pretty mad. That is pretty mad, isn't it, actually? God, yeah. I mean, I don't know about everybody else, but we're just on this. A lot of people judge their age by what's their first major tournament that they can remember. And mine is World Cup 98. I do remember Euro 96 very briefly, mainly because my dad had a Castrol, like the fuel company, like a book after the Euros, and I remember crying when England got knocked out by Germany, but I don't really remember it too well. World Cup 98, though, I was all over it, so that for me is the first one. But yeah, 10 years ago, mate, that is, well, 7 years ago, not 10, 7 years ago, which is, pretty mental. Bohemian, welcome. World Cup 2026 has England going out in the semi-finals, written all over it. The Bohemians coming in straight away this evening. We're not even had one qualification game, mate, yet. So come on, I don't know. Let's see. I mean, most countries will be saying, look, semi-finals are semi-final still, isn't it? You'll be lucky to get that, but let's see. You'll see tonight's chat because, as you know, at tonight's poll, Thomas Tuchel has taken charge. He's taken charge since, was it Monday? When was it? It's the 5th now. What day was it? It was Wednesday, wasn't it? So he's taken charge since Wednesday. Thomas Tuchel, officially the new England manager. We've known it for a while. You know my feelings on the fact that why is he taking it only after Christmas? No idea. Bizarre, but he's finally in place now. He went to see the Tottenham-Newcastle game, didn't he, this weekend? What was well reported, and hopefully he's like what he's seen, because there were some good performances there. We'll come on to those in a second. But yeah, there's some. I think what we'll discuss tonight, I've got a few topics. The Sunday rundown, as you can see, I'm always back to front. There we are. The Sunday rundown. We have got Tuchel takes charge. Liam Delap. I want to talk about Liam Delap because there was an article in the BBC this week, and I want to come on to him. Saka, hour injured, supposed to say out. Ignore that. I need to change that. Ben White's return as well has obviously been well big on the agenda, given now that Thomas Tuchel has come back in, and he's come out and said, I am going to reach back out to him. And of course, we'll discuss Gareth Southgate's knighthood. I have been doing a few shorts, so hopefully you guys have been keeping up to those. Just to keep the channel ticking over. The Sunday streams will now be back more regular now. Christmas and the New Year and all that palaver's over with. The Sunday streams will be more regular. I'll try and drop a regular video once, maybe once a month, twice a month, where games aren't in place. I'm still working on that documentary. I know, guys, it'll be with you. I promise you. Fingers crossed by the end of January. But then we'll obviously be coming on looking towards those March games, which we'll also discuss tonight. Because the title and the thumbnail of this video is very much about, or tonight's live stream is very much about what is in place for 2024. What do we want as England fans? 2024. What is success looking like for us? And I know I'm going to sound a bit cheeky now. Let's take for granted winning the group and qualifying for the World Cup is what we count as success. That's the minimum of success for me. What does true success look like? And that's quite complicated for England at the minute, because it's first identifying where our problems are and understanding where we want to go. Winning these games in the qualifying groups shouldn't be where we want to go. That should be where we are going. But ultimately, we need to think about the squad, the team, the system, the way we play, how we play, who comes in, who comes out. So what does 2025 look like as a successful year for England? So I want you to start thinking about that in the background. Quick look at the chat. Charlie Kelly is also on. I actually think Tuchel could win as the World Cup. Good man, good man. So you'll see in the chat, the poll is will Tuchel be a success? 11 votes so far. We'll have a quick look at that in a moment. But please, if you're new to this channel, everything like that, we do a weekly poll every single week on this live stream. So this is today's poll. Put your answer down. I'm really interested to know what you're going to think. Because ultimately, the way the FA and Tuchel have put it is it's the World Cup or nothing. It's boom or bust. Really, it's that's it. That's what they're counting as success. That's what Tuchel's counting as success. That's what the FA want. It's almost why the FA have bought Tuchel in the first place. It almost seems like the only reason why he's been bought in. It's Ricky and Gate sharing their first tournaments, 1998 and 2016. Says Gate 102. Mate, don't worry. You've only known the glory. You've only known the glory, mate. You've only known the glory. Even though we haven't won now, you don't know the pain. You don't know the sheer pain. Well, you do, but the disappointment, more or less, I would say. Bohemian is on. Nice to have you with me, mate. Match channel. Mine was 2010. I'm not that young. I just didn't get into football until I was 10. It was one of the worst I've watched. It says Beeman's just got a feeling. Gate 102. Sir Gareth Southgate. Josh Windass to Santos is a weird transfer. Winning the Women's Euro 2025. Of course, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't really spoken about the Women's Euro 2025, and I've been thinking about it over Christmas, and I will cover it. I'll be doing a prediction of it. I know in the past when I've covered the women's football on this channel, it's been really successful, so I am going to cover it. And let's be honest, we're all going to watch it. We all watch it. I do struggle, hands up, I do struggle getting into women's football outside of a tournament. I still do watch the games, not league games. I promise you now, I do not watch women's club football, and good or bad, say what you want, but I don't watch it. But I do watch England internationally, so I will cover that tournament coming up, and we'll do a score prediction. We'll have a look at those games and do a bit like what I did with the Euros this year, with a prediction before the match and obviously summarise it after. But we are, of course, the defending champions, so for the women, it's certainly a bigger year than what it is for the men, because there's trophy, there's silverware up for grabs. So Gate 102, I think success is creating a core group again. We had that under Southgate, and part of me wants to identify his key players and have some continuity within the squad. I couldn't agree with him more, and let's have a look at that. Let's start with that Gate 102, because I think that's a great starting point, mate. And I don't really want to sit here and pick a starting 11 or anything like that. It's thinking about where's probably the gaps more than anything. We know where it's sort of in place, but where's Thomas Tuchel's main problems? And I might load up a BBC article on my phone at the moment, because they've done a story similar to this over the weekend, and we'll start to see what they've come up with. But we'll have a look. I can't see us losing a game in the qualifier, says Nozza. I bloody hope not, mate. Match channel agrees with Ricky regarding the Josh Windass or winning the Women's Euros, whichever the two. Charlie Kelly, welcome to the squad. Woo! Third channel member, thank you so much. Honestly, I can't tell you all, no matter what it is that you put, I just cannot thank you all enough. Welcome to the squad. Anybody who supports this channel with the time, financially, whatever, I can't thank you all enough, genuinely. And I'm trying to, just tell me what you guys want. Do you want me to do more regular videos? Like I said, I've cut those out to do bigger videos, and I know they're taking longer, so I do apologise. I thought I'll aim to do the bigger videos, for the main bits when the game's coming on. Do some shorts, keep doing these Sunday Club things, Sunday League. Just let me know, because it's all about just how much England can we get, and how do you guys want to talk England? Because I love this, so how do we want it to go? So let me know. But Charlie, thank you so much, mate. England are in the group of death with France. Mate, look, don't worry about the group of death. They should be worrying about us, definitely. Luke Littler for England manager, says Ricky. I mean, this is the England fan channel. We can't not mention Luke Littler, because I've, 17 years old, darts champion. Yeah, unbelievable. So amazing things can happen. But England, as a nation, doing well in darts. We've been there before, haven't we? And we'll be there again. It's the football we want. It is the football. It would be nice during the tournament if you could do England Watch Along. Charlotte, your wish is granted, my friend. I did that one thing I 100% thought about because I don't do them so often with the men's, because one, I'm either at the game, I want to be at the game, or two, I'm at the pub, or just something. The women's though, because there's not, I haven't got a group of people around who want to come around and watch it, for example. I'm not likely to go to the game, so I think a watch along for the women's Euros, 100%, mate. Let's do it. Let's have a women's watch along. I demand more England and more Gary, says Beam. I try my best, mate. We all want more England. It's ages away, isn't it? Bloody March. But anyway, what does success? Let's go back to 102's initial point. So the squad, in terms of what Tuchel's main problems are, I think number one is the system. It really is the system, because we seemed unsettled all last year. For 12 months last year, we seemed really, really unsettled, didn't we? There was a real lack in consistency in the quality of performances. Seemed to struggle under certain situations. There was a lot of experiment trying to fit all that attacking talent in, if you remember. So I think first and foremost it's the system. I mean, is it going to be like a 4-3-3? Trying to simplify it. It's never as simple as just a 5 whatever. Players do swap around, stuff like that. But I think the system, the formation is probably... well, it is. End of the day, we need to know how we're going to set up. That is Tuchel's number one goal. And I think it will be something similar to a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3 something. You know what I mean? So for... maybe 4-2-1-3 or something. I don't know. Something like that. Does he play two holding midfield still? It's tricky. And how does he fit this talent in? I mean, Foden, for me, doesn't start the next game, doesn't come in. I mean, does he get in the squad? We'll come on to that in a second. I'm just going to throw that juicy one out there and let you guys argue about it yourselves. But it's getting the squad right. It's getting the balance of the squad right. Carsley got it drastically wrong in that Greece game. So I think that's the number one job for Tuchel. What system do we play? And stick to it. Let's stick to it. He hasn't got many games, and this is my bloody problem with him taking over only in the beginning of January. Why he wasn't in charge of those Nations League games, I do not know. This is the problem now. He's got a limited amount of games, to establish a system, to establish an English system before we go to the tournament next year. And you don't want him to chuck everything out. Ultimately, he needs to bring forward the good that Southgate implemented, but then what goes off at the back. And at the bad, and at the back. We'll come on to the back. But yeah, he needs to stick to a system. I don't want him to go in and create a whole something brand new. I don't think we've got time for that. I think the players are comfortable in that sort of 4-3-3 sort of way, but maybe it's how the two holding midfielders are, or is it two number 10s? I think you're going to have the out wide players. So it's that middle of the park, isn't it, really? That central area. How many attacking players and how many defensive minded players do you slot in? And I think that's the key for Thomas Tuchel, personally, for him to try and get to grips with. I'm going to try and go to Tuchel's first game in March at Wembley, says Charlie. Yeah, mate, see you there. Hopefully you do, mate. I could see 3-4-2-1 with two behind Kane. Yeah, and that's sort of it, isn't it? I mean, that 3 drops back into a 5. I mean, maybe it's that middle of the park, and whether it's a back 3 / back 5. I always say when it's a back 3, it never really is a back 3, is it? It's a back 3 when we've got ball, but it goes to a back 5 when we haven't. So it's those two areas where you think, what do we play? And I'd like him to, whatever he goes with, I'd like him to just stick with it, really. I could. Is Maguire on his way back? Says Matt's channel. We'll have a look at that in a second, mate. I don't want to be too harsh on Trent, but I just can't trust him as a right back. Unpopular opinion, but I'd go Esri Konsa there. Yeah, Trent's a. I mean, under Carsley, he was one of England's better players in the Nations League campaign. He probably was. But he tended to drift more in midfield. I know he did drop into that defensive role, but his main play was in that central midfield. It's just where he fits. It's the same problem with Trent. How does he fit into an England starting 11? Does anyone know when tickets will be out for that game? It's Monday, mate. I think it's Monday. Let me double check. It depends, actually. Are you a travel club member? If you're a travel club member... tickets go on sale next week. the 9th of January. Thursday the 9th of January for the Albania game, if you're a travel club member. And Monday the 20th of January for the Latvia game, if you're the travel club member. If you're not, and you're just on the My England football, which I would advise you join up for free anyway, is the 13th of January, and general sale is the 17th of January for the Albania game. The Latvia game is the 24th of January, and general sale is the 28th of January. So, yeah. I mean, I sort of said a lot there, but hopefully you can rewatch this back and understand what I've said. But reading that straight from the email. The poll says 73% yes, Tuchel will be a success. Is that what it says? Let's have a quick look. I've got 69%, 25% unsure, 6% no, 16 votes. I think that's quite a good poll, but a lot of confidence. A lot of confidence in Thomas Tuchel there. Remember, if you're new into the chat, please make sure you vote. We want to know what you think. And subscribe so you can join in the conversation. I just think we are playing wing backs that I'd have Saka as right wing back over Trent, says Gate 102. My England members is 13th. Oh, cheers. I have to see if I can get them. So Josh Phillips, definitely do, mate. Yeah, I think for Tuchel, it's the system. 5 at the back, 3 at the back. What does it look like? Is it 2 holding midfielders? Is it 2 number 10s? I think they're the main things in terms of the system, how we play, and things like that are probably going to be the most interesting. I think after that, then you look at personnel, don't you? So it's a system first. Then the next job for Thomas Tuchel is figuring out who comes in. And we're going to have the main players, but Ben White is jumping out. Is he going to come back in? I mean, what's going off with... I'm reading this BBC article here, and some of the names that are coming up are Ben Chilwell, who was phased out. Really under Lee Carsley. Does Madueke keep coming back in? Carsley was a big favourite under him. Eric Dyer, interestingly, it points out Eric Dyer is a potential player to come back in. And Thomas Tuchel obviously played under him under Bayern Munich. So there's some interesting choices there. Never mind the whole host of young talent, young players. We're not going to sit here now and really pick them apart. The one player I'm going to mention is Liam Delap, because again, there was an article that I read this week, and it just pricked my ears a little bit. So Chelsea boss Enzo Maresca believes Ipswich striker Liam Delap, who he coached in Manchester City's academy, can become an important player for England. So this is one manager talking about another team's player who he previously managed, but rather interestingly saying that he feels like he's going to be a bit of a success. He's 21 years old, obviously the son of Rory Delap, as we all know. Maybe he's... I don't know, maybe he's a player who we can look forward to the future, particularly in that front line. We've gone on about it for a long time. It's Harry Kane. I think Harry Kane comes back in. There's no denying that. Harry Kane is staying in. But it's who's his understudy. Ollie Watkins, as we know, is Ollie Watkins. He comes in. But what else is around him? And maybe Delap is that answer to that. You know, you need other people pushing for success and pushing to get into the team, really. Particularly to challenge Harry Kane. We want people... We want people to challenge Harry Kane, definitely, 100%. Tuchel will make England a team that no one wants to play against, just like he said at Chelsea. I mean, let's hope so. I mean, let's be honest, who really wants to play England now? I wouldn't say anyone wants to play England now at all. I'm not saying that people fear us, but most nations wouldn't want to play England now in a knockout game. Still got to beat good teams, though, haven't we? I mean, end of the day, Tuchel's got to beat a big team in a quarter-final or a semi-final. It's as simple as that. We can't talk about who we're going to meet in the quarters or something because we haven't got through the qualifying yet. But that's it. I genuinely think England are one big win at a tournament away. It doesn't even have to be in a final, but I think we're one big win in a tournament away from becoming champions. I think it's that simple for England. It's the final monkey off our back. Saka, though, is out injured. He is out injured. It's not going to impact him probably playing in the March games, but he is out for a long time, forcing him to have a bit of a rest, which you could say in some ways is a good thing. Shame there's not a tournament this summer. But yeah, it's not great when players start to pick up injuries because they never truly become the same player after all. Sometimes they don't, and some of these injuries can be difficult to shake off. But so wishing all the best of luck to Bukayo Saka in his recovery. Josh is saying, don't know why I'm still this confident. No matter how many times we lose finals, I still think we can do it. Mate, you've got to. What else have we got? What else have we got? And it is the hope that kills you. 100% the hope that kills you with England. We'll all know. All of us in here, no matter how long we've all been watching England, stuff like that, we all know it's the bloody hope that kills you. Got a feeling Latvia might get second in World Cup qualifying. Serbia and Albania might distract each other over too much. Imagine being Albania to play Tuchel in the first game. Says Charlie 8102. Saka needs a rest, so might do him some good, but only if he comes back the same player, hopefully better. Bowen out as well. Big chances for Madueke at right wing. Look, I want Madueke back in, and I want Bowen in when he's fit, when he's back on form. I think Jared Bowen in England shirt over recent months in England call-ups has been one of the brightest sparks. Madueke has done nothing wrong as well either. He needs to come in. So. What's looking at success for me is we win the group. I mean, that's non-negotiable. We win the group. But I also think it brings in some of these new players and establishes a system. At the minute, if somebody asks me what's England's best system, in fact, no, I probably could tell you what England's best system is, but in fact, no, can I? Can I with confidence say which? I can't. I can't say if England were playing a final next week, I would be comfortable and guarantee that this is the best system for us to play and win that final. I wouldn't know what it is. So, establish a system, get some players in competing regularly for those places and keep continuing to bring those players through. That Carsley did very well. That is one thing that Carsley definitely did superbly, was bringing a lot of new players through. So, continuing that to build on the current system as well. And I think that's it. I think that's it because of the game, because of how it's looking for next year, because that's all that's going to be up for grabs. So all he can do in a season and in a year where there is no silverware up for grabs, there's no Nations League, it's just a qualification for the World Cup, sprinkle in a couple of friendlies here or there. So ultimately, topping the group and having an established system that is success. That's all we can ask for. A huge success would be someone who's really then competing for Harry Kane in my book. That would be the next level. And back four, I'm bringing up more things now. So an established back four as part of that system, established personnel in that back four, a proper understudy for Harry Kane, a regular one, and consistency in our play, because we've lacked that consistency over the past 12 to 18 months. We really did. I think the system needs to suit Kane, as I still think he's most important player and pivotal player. Therefore, runners in behind. Absolutely agree, mate. Absolutely, 100% agree. He's passing. He brings play. We've got to work to Kane's strengths. Absolutely. Anthony Gordon, I think, is going to be a player. Definitely going to be one to watch out for moving forward. Roy Samuel, first time making it to the live chat. Awesome to be here, mate. Mate. Great to have you. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you vote in the poll. Will Thomas Tuchel be a success? Let me have a quick look at the poll now. We've got 17 votes, 71%. There's an optimistic bunch in tonight. 71% saying he's going to be a success. 24%, so a quarter of you saying no. A quarter of you saying unsure. 6% saying no. So I believe 6% based on the number of votes. One person at the minute. We've got one person in the room who's doubting Thomas Tuchel. I think the problem is and if I was answering this poll, which I haven't done, I don't answer these polls, I leave it up to you guys. I think the problem is what does success look like? And for those that are just joining, like you, Roy, we were just talking about earlier, if you're listening to the FA and you're listening to Thomas Tuchel, success is one and one thing only, and that's winning the World Cup. That's it. That's all success is. And listen to a lot of England fans, and they would agree. It's not semi-finals. It's not another final defeat. It's a win. It's winning the tournament. I get it. Black and white, they're right. That is the only success you can have. But can you really sit here and say that if we make a final of a World Cup, bearing in mind we haven't made one since '66. Different to the Euros, remember? I know we're making finals, but we haven't made World Cup finals, everyone, in a long time. I can't sit here and say if we make the World Cup final and lose it, that isn't a success. But, yeah, I do get it. I really do. Josh, 3 players to watch out for who'll be in the Euro 2028 squad. Louis Barry, Jay Stansfield and Joe Whitworth, all doing brilliant in League One at the moment. I'll take your word for it, Josh. Let's hope to hear them in the Premier League soon. Not sure what to say. No new players have emerged since November. Tuchel can only do so much. Plus, he will have to deal with Mail and the Sun. Well, I would put Delap in a position where he's pushing for a surprise call up. Maybe Gate 102 podcast. It's hard to say what the team will be for the future. 8 months before the Euros, no one knew who Maynard or Wharton were. And they both went. Yeah, absolutely agree, mate. I mean, Wharton is a bit like, does he come back in? Does he drop back down? What's happening with Maynard? It's the spine again. It's the centre-back in the middle of the pitch. Who plays alongside Rice? Who plays in that number 10 position? And who plays in the two centre-back positions? That's it. That they are the most difficult things for Thomas Tuchel to solve. I would rather win Euro 2028 than a 48-team World Cup. Really? I'd take a World Cup, mate. I think most of us, maybe that's next week's quiz. That's next week. We've done a quiz. Maybe that's next week's poll. Would you rather win the World Cup or Euros? And I don't know. If people are putting things like that, let's ask, because the World Cup is very different, isn't it? Now with the number of teams, and you might say there's a lot of filler teams in there. You might say the Euros is harder to win. Maybe that's something I'll put out next week. But I'd take a World Cup, mate, over a Euros any day. Josh Phillips, answering back to Gate 102 podcast, definitely, which is why Gordon needs to play. His suits came well. Yeah, I agree. Louis Barrow will make the England squad one day. Had the privilege of watching him this season and never seen anyone so fast and direct. A 48-team World Cup annoys me as well, to be honest. Nozza, Euros are tougher. Right, mate, this is definitely next week's poll then, because I don't think... I think this is a thing where when I've spoken to Americans particularly, or South Americans or North Americans, USA fans, Argentina, and all those guys, you ask them and they think it's a no-brainer. They don't think they think the World Cup's by far harder, but I know what I think. I'd agree with success being winning the World Cup 2026, says Roy, although, as you've said, a World Cup final outside English soil might be seen as another step up from before. I mean, it is another step up before. I mean, that's the other thing. We're looking at hopefully making our first ever World Cup final since it's 6. This would be our first ever World Cup final on foreign soil. So, I don't know. I get it. We're making finals. We're making semi-finals. I get we want to win something, and I get it feels like the next step. But at the same time, because of our history, I can't say reaching a final isn't success. What about a Women's World Cup? Plus, England have never won a Euros or Women's World Cup. No, yeah, well, exactly, mate. I mean, we have reached the final of a Women's World Cup there on foreign soil, haven't we? 48 teams sucks. I hate it, to be honest. The problem is, right, when it gets round to it, when the tournament is on, we'll all more games. There'll be the odd shock, and then it only needs one shock result to happen, and everyone will be like, oh, see, it was justified. You wouldn't have had this if there was 48 teams. But everyone will ignore a Minnow getting beat 5-1 in the group stage. Everyone will ignore that. They'll just look at the one shock result, and they'll have pictures of some Caribbean islands fan base all in fancy, in the nice clothing or whatever, and be like, oh, isn't this amazing? It's bringing the world together. But it's just like, well, no, it isn't, because it should be the best of the best. And yeah, you can't have the World Cup, and that's what we're going to have. And from a European perspective, you're going to have teams that are far better than probably 30 teams that are going to be at the World Cup. So, I can't say Mali versus Venezuela interests at all. America play against Honduras and Jamaica in qualifying games. Absolutely agree, mate. But you mean I was sceptical about 32 team Euros, but I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, good point. You would argue though that the pool in Europe is stronger. When you're picking across the world, you're bound to get crap, aren't you? Really. Agree. Euros are tougher in the World Cup. Most of the top teams on the global scale are in Europe, or rather 24 teams in Euros, says Premium. I think the thing is you could argue maybe the quarterfinals, the semi-finals, and the finals possibly should be harder than the Euros. So the last few games arguably should be harder than the Euros, because you are playing. Then you could easily get your Argentinas, your Brazils, different teams playing different styles, different methods of football. You could argue that they're probably tougher those last 2 or 3 games, but as an overall, I think every game we play at the Euros is tougher than every game we'll play at a World Cup. I think that's a really good way to look at it. I don't think every game at the World Cup is as tough as every game is at the Euros. It's only around quarterfinals that gets interesting. Says Encore football, yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. We're all going to enjoy it, like I said, because there's more games. There's going to be some shock results, blah 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 blah. But it just stinks a little bit, doesn't it? Because you are going to get good European teams that aren't going to make it. Because it's still, we look at England's group. Let's take a look. We look at England's group for the qualification, and we're not worried. Obviously, we're not worried at all. I mean, Serbia, Albania, Latvia, Andorra, we should get through. But ultimately, you have to top the group. There's going to be a lot of teams and a lot of groups that, arguably should be there, and they're going to finish second, and then they're going to have to rely on a playoff, and only some may get through. So you're going to end up with really, really good teams from Europe not at the World Cup, which is going to be really odd, again. And it's going to be really odd to see, like, I don't know, Honduras at the World Cup. It just doesn't, I know it's a World Cup, but it just feels like too many for me. And not only that, as we move on, I know Canada, America and Mexico are hosting it together, but as we go on, who's going to host a 2018 World Cup? It's just ridiculous. I know the FA love having, more than one nation hosting and bringing it out to Arab states and all that, but you just think, come on, in another 10, 20 years' time, it's just going to get ridiculous, because it's not really going to go back down. It will never reduce. If anything, it'll just keep going up and up. Do not be surprised in another 30 years' time, it's a 52 team. I don't know, something ridiculous. Knockouts for Euros in 2020 were Germany, Ukraine and Denmark. Those were all difficult games. Exactly, mate. And you're going to argue, aren't you, probably some of the first knockout games at the World Cup are going to be simple as well. So, yeah, you're probably looking at quarterfinals, semi-finals, so you might face an half-decent team. Fingers crossed, anyway, if the groups go how we want it to. Maybe Italy slips up yet again. I mean, the anxiety that the Italian fans will be having now, I mean, they surely can't, because they're playing well, Italy. They had a great Nations League campaign. Surely Italy are going to get to the World Cup. They can't cock it up again. Surely not. 32-team World Cup had the best balance of quality and diversity. Yeah, I would argue that. But then you could argue people were saying that before it got expanded again. It's a difficult one. Ukraine were knackered by the quarters, although they had to play 120 minutes versus Sweden. Yeah, the problem was, let's get real now. The Euros this year was shocking. It was an awful tournament. It was terrible. It was an absolute awful tournament. For the most part, games were drab, games were boring, the quality was well down. Spain were the deserved winners. The only team that looked like arse, the only team that looked like they had any energy. It was terrible. It was a terrible tournament. I think that's what they need to look at more, is the rest periods, when the teams, I don't know. You don't want to see tournaments like the last Euros, because something weren't right. Something was not right at the last Euros. It was a bizarre tournament, really bizarre. But look, looking at that group, we topped the group. It's just about the form. Some people are chucking in Albania for second. I think, did someone else chuck in Latvia earlier to pinch second? I think Serbia, the only other second team in this group, personally. Ukraine, increasing from 24 to 32 was actually met with a lot of criticism, but it was time before social media, so it didn't stand out as much. Yeah, I know, mate. I completely remember. And it was the same again. It's always the same. And then you look back and think, actually, no, that's quite all right. So you do you get it from the authorities' perspective, FIFA and UEFA, because they're all thinking, everyone will forget it in 10 years' time and then say it's perfect as it is now. And like I said, it only takes one shock result in a group stage. It only takes a Saudi Arabia to beat an Argentina in a group stage for everyone to go, see, it's justified. It's absolutely justified why we've done it. And I get it, that's football and you want to see those sorts of things, but the few and far between, and the vast majority of the time, it just ends up with the status quo, doesn't it? Wales beating Belgium, yeah. At least Euro 2016, 2020 had upsets like Netherlands getting beat by Czech Republic and Wales and Russia thwarted by Denmark. Unpopular opinion, but maybe return for Hubs in a derby, not the perfect, but playing well in Forest side. Yeah, Forest. Anyone who's got an English passport in that Forest team at the minute needs a good look at, because what a season they're having. What a season. They're on for doing a Leicester. Absolutely brilliant. Who would have thought that Forest would be the team pushing Liverpool at this stage in the season? Loved England, got to the finals, but the Euros were terrible. Yeah, it was terrible, mate. I'll be honest with you, every England game was awful. It was a slog. You were just stressed. We were playing terribly. It was the most bizarre tournament. I've never known, looking back at a tournament where we've done so well in terms of how far we've got, And I just look back on it, and barely any game stands out. Moments stand out, but barely any game stands out because we played that shit. We already have Morgan Gibbs White. I give Albania the slight edge over Serbia, says Matt's channel. Ryan Yates, Ward-Prowse, Elliot Anderson. Ward-Prowse surely is not. Surely he's done. Surely Ward-Prowse is done. I hear you, but his time's come and gone now for England, I think. I could be wrong. Could be wrong. Do you think England were lucky to get to the finals of both Euro 2020 and 2024? Because that's what I don't know. They had lucky moments, but I would say I've never seen any nation win any tournament ever, or do well in any tournament ever without a bit of luck. And I think you also make your own luck. I think that's what England did in both tournaments. And I think England, I can't think of any game really before the finals where England were outplayed and deserved to go out, but didn't. I can't think of. I know you might say a couple of times at the last Euros where we should have been going out in the last few minutes, but I don't think at any point England was second best in any of those games. So I don't think saying England were lucky to get to the finals is fair. I think they had lucky moments, not lucky moments, but moments of brilliance actually. If we're looking back, it were moments of brilliance, and I think that's what good teams do. So probably the long-winded answer is no. I don't think England were lucky. You can't fluke your way to 2 finals. You can't. I'm sorry, you just can't do that. I think it was better than 2016 and 2020, not from an England point of view, though. No, quick brackets there, mate. They always weren't great, but I think we deserve to get to the final still because our mentality and togetherness made us deserve to win the games. I genuinely think, looking back at the Euros, maybe Germany played better at some points, but I think England were the next best team in that tournament after Spain. But it was a shit tournament. Everyone was terrible. I've heard people say Watkins winning was luck, but I thought we were better than Netherlands in that game. I thought if anyone was going to win that game, it was going to be us. And we had the quality off the bench, and that's why we're a better team, and that's why we won it. So I sort of get it, but it goal it was. The goal in itself wasn't fluky, it wasn't lucky, it was a brilliant play from Palmer and Watkins. So we can't watch England score an absolutely brilliant last-minute winner and say it was luck. It was a brilliant goal. I've heard people say Watkins. He also brought on 3 players to take pens who all scored. Exactly, mate. I think England did enough in 2024. Yeah, we didn't do enough to win it. I think the thing is, you ask most England fans now, we're not really that bothered. Well, we are bothered, of course we are. We're not really that bitter about last year. We're not bothered about fame. The one that really pisses us all off is that final against Italy, where we're at home. We were playing well. We took the lead. That's the one for us we should have won. And you ask all England fans, and that's the one where, particularly towards Gareth Southgate, that's where the anger's aimed. That's where the anger's aimed at the players, the fans, the manager, because you feel like that's the one we bottled it. We bottled it. It's as simple as that. We didn't, end of the day, we were outplayed in the final. We didn't give it our best shot in the last final last year. I think we did. I don't think we truly went at Spain again like we should have done. We sat back as soon as we got the equaliser, but at no point did I ever feel like England were really in the shot with winning this. I think Spain controlled it for the most part, but against Italy, you just think, come on, we bottled it, and that's the moment, that's the game, that's the match, and that's the final that really winds most of us up, and me included. And I still can't watch it back. I've never watched it back. Not at half time. I knew Spain was going to win. They deserved it. They did, mate. And I've not heard a single England fan say otherwise. I haven't. Not heard a single England fan say anything else. So yeah, it's. I go back to it was the Italy game. I would rather have won 2024 because we were in a era of phasing out of COVID in 2021. Yeah, I'd rather have won either. I agree, but I mean, the only thing that made me feel like we had to win it last year is because surely we can't get to another final and then equalise again the way we did, and think you just felt like surely it's our time, but again, it wasn't. So, but Spain were more deserved than Italy. Yeah, this is my point. Spain definitely deserved to win it. I don't think Italy did. I think England should have beat Italy, and that's an hill I'm willing to die on. I'll die on that hill as long as I live. But we didn't. The facts are we did. Italy won it, as we all know. That's one we should have won. It was the France defeat to me that I think most frustrated him out of all. It's because we deserved to win. Gate 102, I could not have got that quarter-final against France. That's the best I've seen England play in any tournament. That World Cup. When we beat Senegal comfortably, we were absolutely flying, and we came up against France. I think we outplayed them that whole match. I think the referee was a wanker, didn't want to give us anything. They were also, and I do blame the referee a lot for that. And obviously, a bit of defending, but we were better than France in that game. No doubt, we were better than France in that game. But we bottled it. Not any word, we bottled it. It was Kane skying the penalty over the bar. Don't get me wrong. Started with Italy final. Spain solid 9 out of 10. Yeah, Spain won it. It's just. I don't look back on that and think we blew it. I think it was another transition year. The World Cup's going to be interesting. I remember being on an island away from everyone watching 2020. Last year I was in the main fan zone, so more of a party if England had won. Yeah, well, yeah, it'd have been far better, mate. I think the World Cup. I want England to avoid any of the home nations. I don't want England to get Canada. I certainly don't want us to get the US because we just never play well against them in a tournament, and we certainly won't beat them. We won't beat the US in the group phase if we get them at the tournament, or Mexico. I want to avoid all three of them, and obviously that's hard because there's bloody three of them. The likelihood is you might end up with one of them in your group. I just think it's important for England over past years that we get the group where we can start with a win. I think starting a tournament with a win sets you on the right way. At least USA can't get away with drawing against us. Well, I mean, look, they'd take a draw, wouldn't they? But look, I don't want the US. I think the US are the strongest out of those three teams. I think the US want the game more than what we would. They're obsessed with beating us. Their fans absolutely mental about it. They think it's like some massive game. But I just think the US and the US players and fans get up for that game more than what we do. I think it's a bit of a banana skin. Encore football, 12 groups at next World Cup. England should be a top seed. Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, if we are a top seed, we would avoid them, wouldn't we? Because all three of those would be top seeds as well. We have a problem against US. We've only played them twice in recent years in competitive games, so it's not like a major problem. And we have beat them 3-0 in a friendly a few years back. I wouldn't say it's a major problem. I just feel like at a tournament I just think they fancy it. I just think they fancy it much more than what we do, and I think we can't cope with that. We won't play any of the nations in the group stage. Well, yeah, that's good then. I do want to avoid them. I really do. At any point in the tournament, I want to avoid them because I feel like England's the type of team that would get knocked out by a Canada, a US, or Mexico on their home soil. I feel like that's the type of team. So I want to avoid the home nations. We're not good at avoiding banana skins. More chance of drawing Croatia or Poland. Well, yeah. Let's look. I think with the amount of groups. I can't remember how it works. We should get through the group. I mean, it's the top two, isn't it? At least that go through. To get through the group. It's just hard to know, and this is the problem with World Cup qualification in Europe. We're not going to know, are we, how well we're playing or anything? Even at the end of this year, we're not going to have a clue. We'll only know if we're playing bad. If we go and beat all these teams and we get a comfortable victory in the qualification campaign, we're not really going to know how we are as a nation, how we are. So we've got to get some big friendlies in. Just whack me in the nose. Got to get some big friendlies in this year. Test us to see where this squad's at, to see where Thomas Tuchel's at. Japan or Colombia could be a banana skin. I'd have Colombia again. Good memories playing Colombia. Roy, England with our pedigree, our relative consistency over the past couple of years should not be fearing anyone now. No, I agree, mate. I agree, but it's just England way in it. I've seen too many disappointments for me to be like, oh yeah, don't worry, we're getting the groups. I just feel like, God, to cock it up. It'd be us. It would be England versus USA match. Losing to them would be awful. I know it would. And that's the thing. Can you imagine if we lost to America at their World Cup in home site? Jesus Christ. We'd never hear the end of it. We'd never hear the end of it. No, I do avoid them. Let's have a quick look at the poll. 20 votes in. 75% yes, 20% no. It's still only the one person, I think. 20% unsure, 5% no. Still only the one person who's doubting old Tuchel. I cram the Nations League together with qualifiers somehow with the main qualifying group. Has 16 teams in the top 8 qualify. Everyone goes to playoffs, says Encore Football. On White, says Gate102, you don't pick or choose when you play for your country. I'd give my right arm to play for England. He rejected. I'd still want to play for England even if someone slapped me in the face. Mate, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, it's one of them there where we could sort of do with him, particularly for as well. It's like he has, and this is torn, isn't it? It's like, I get it, I completely agree, but you feel like if he's willing to come in, I mean, I don't know. I think that's the thing. It's like what could Southgate and Steve Holland have possibly have done, Ben, to make you that upset where you don't want to go and represent your country, or you can't be grown up and mature enough and man enough just to sweep it under the rug and just go and represent your country. And I think that's what rattles people the most. Not the fact that he doesn't enjoy playing for England or that he had some trouble linking up with the England team. It's the fact of what could have possibly gone wrong. You know what I mean? Did Southgate shit in his Weetabix or something? It just does not make any sense as to why. There's, like you said, there's nothing that would stop me from representing my country. Genuinely. Who will be the other friendly? I don't know. It's a difficult one. Do England need White urgently? I think we do. I think we possibly do, mate. All of a sudden, right back's looking bare. Absolutely bare, mate. The women's Euros use Nations Leagues as qualifiers. Oh, do they? I know that. Bohemian agrees with 102. Gate 102. Ezri Konsa is a similar player to White and he loves playing for England. Yeah, but look, there's no. I think we're all fooling ourselves if we sit here and say Ben White wouldn't be used or needed. Ben White is a good player. He's a good player and he would come in. End of the day, he would have been in England squads, wouldn't he, recently? If Tuchel wants to build a positive culture, have a player who rejected in there isn't good. The problem is we don't know the reasons why. And we don't, and I know we might say here and say there's no justification as to why you should turn it down, but we don't know the reasons why. We don't know the dynamics with the players. It's such a tough one. I'm with you, Gate 102. Personally, I'd be like, no, sod you, mate. You've blown it. But I'm also very clear that I think Ben White can do a real big job in this squad. Not saying it to be easy play for anyone. Look at how we bottled versus Greece at home, but bar a couple of top nations, we should also be favourites given our quality and depth. Absolutely, we're one of the favourites going into the World Cup. 100%. I mean, if we get there, I'm not that now. We're going to get there, but as soon as we're there, you're going to put England at least in the top 5 favourites to win the World Cup. Why did White still not want to play in the Carsley, but he's okay with Tuchel? Curious. Yeah, I don't know, mate. I mean, Carsley said he didn't try and reach out to him, which was interesting, which you could read into 2 ways. One, you could read into the fact that Ben White didn't want to be contacted at all. 2, Lee Carsley knew the reason why he was rejecting England previously and thought, fuck you as well. And thought he was being immature, petty, and agreed with Southgate and Steve Holland. Or 3, he genuinely just didn't reach out to him, didn't want to call him up at all. So I've got a feeling it might be the middle one, because Carsley will have known the reasons why Southgate didn't call him up, or that relationship broke down. Of course, he was part of the management team at St George's Park. They'll have had meetings about it. He will know why Ben White refused to play for England, and I think it says a lot that Lee Carsley at no point tried to call him back up. Zach Green just joined the stream. Delap looks a very good player. He does, mate. He does, and we were saying earlier how could he actually be the consistent challenge to Harry Kane, and one for the future in particular. I think even when you're looking at Ollie Watkins, you're only looking at maybe another tournament, maybe 2 with him as well. I'm looking 10 years ahead, and this is Delap could be the name. Great point, but if there's a problem with Holland, then why didn't he play in the Carsley when Holland wasn't there? Says Game 2. Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. And we haven't got the answers. We don't know the answers. We don't know why. All you can do is draw the lines that connect them all together. One, seeing is the one common denominator in all this is that they all think Ben White isn't worth the call up or the hassle. So it's a bit funny. It always makes me cringe when I see White singing Sweet Caroline on the pitch after England beat Denmark in 2021. So many people's dreams being taken. I know, mate. And the thing is, as well, I remember covering it at the time. I think I covered it on one of these live streams. When he first got his call-up, he did a great interview about how his mum was crying when he got a call-up, his dad was, and it was like the biggest moment of his life. It was such an interview that it sounded like you were talking to me if I'd have had an England call-up, or you, Gate 102, or you know, or you, Roy, or you, Zach, or you, Bohemian, or you, anybody else who's in this chat, Josh, whoever. It sounded like you were talking to an average fan who got a call-up of life and couldn't believe the look. Everyone was emotional, and it just doesn't seem to add up what happened with him. His actions didn't follow on from what he was saying. Agreed, White stays out of the squad for me. It's been his choice to make himself unavailable regardless of his reasons. I agree, mate. I mean, this is what I mean. I can't think of anything. I cannot think of anything as to why you wouldn't go. No matter what Steve Holland said to him, no matter what Gareth Southgate said to him, no matter what they've had a fallout on the pitch, there isn't one, is there? There's no justified reasons to why Ben White has chosen not to go. And you get all these former players video shows saying, you know, it's his choice, blah blah blah. Because you know they're all the same. They're all cut from the same cloth. These players, you know, if it's good for his mental health, blah blah. But what a load of shit. They're all in their own bubble. I hate hearing ex-footballers talk about things like this because they don't get it. They're in that bubble. They're thinking, no, this is a job to them. If it's not, you know, if he don't want to go, if he's away from his family, blah blah blah. You know, some players don't like doing that. Tough. You paid a fortune. You've got the chance to represent your country. I don't care. Being away from home for 3 weeks, once every 2 years. Boo-hoo. You know, so what? Go and watch the cricketers. They're away for 6 months every year. It's just, yeah, I don't buy it. What I would say is if Ben White's reason is justified, why haven't we found out? You sort of feel, wouldn't you, that it would have come out of the woodwork. I'm surprised it hasn't, if I'm honest with you. I'm surprised it hasn't come out. Maybe it will. Maybe in 20 years' time or something, Southgate's writing his final autobiography or something, it'll come out then. I'm really interested to know what it is, though. But I guarantee you now, I think we all know, and we're all clear, it will be nothing that would stop any of us in this chat joining England. Nothing. My 5 cents is that White thought he should have been starting but didn't. I mean, if that's the case, fuck off, White. You know what I mean? Sod him. Lewis Hall has the potential left back for the future as well, and maybe his Newcastle teammate Livramento on the other side. Yeah, I mean, the Newcastle lads need to... Lewis Hall's been pushing, hasn't he, for a while, as has Livramento. They've been in... Livramento is definitely in the recent squads. To be honest, I don't mind White not playing for England as there are better players than him. Gate 102 is agreeing with Roy in regards to feeling like he thought he should have been playing. I mean, that's... The thing is that it always makes me feel like White's in the wrong as well, is no other players seem to have a problem with this. If there's a dressing room bust up, there's usually 4 or 5 players in on it. You know, there's other players backing him up. If it was something that outrageous, there'd have been other players refusing to play for Steve Holland and Gareth Southgate. Do a little bit of a coup, if you like. You know, this is what happens. The spoilt brats footballers. This is what would have happened. He's got players there from his club. Saka, a big England starter, never had any problem with Southgate after. So you do feel like this was very much a Ben White and Ben White only problem, and that then highlights the fact that whatever it was just isn't. It wasn't significant enough for him not to play in. So it is an interesting one. Connor Cody wasn't playing another time of his life. That's the character White should have had. I mean, Connor Cody is one of those players who you've heard in the past has been called up solely for the bants, for the dressing room banter. That is it. I mean, you do need those squads, don't you? These squad players. But yeah, Connor Cody was called up solely just for dressing room harmony. Gareth Southgate more or less said it on numerous occasions. And characters, you know, end of the day, we think we know these players. We think we know them. We do. We think we know them, but ultimately none of us here know what any of them are like in the dressing room, around the place. We only see a glimpse of them on the pitch in these interviews. We've no idea really how these players come together, what the friendship groups are, how they interact with the it's hidden. It's well and truly hidden from us all. So I think you've just got to sit back and take the manager's word for it. you presume Thomas Tuchel will know why Ben White hasn't been called up as well. And it'll be interesting because Thomas Tuchel has now very clearly said he wants to link back in with Ben White. I think the only reason now you don't see Ben White is if Ben White is flat out refusing ever to play for England again. And if he is, he will be booing it every single game ever. What a disgrace of a man. And I am going to be that hard. What a disgrace of a bloke if that's what he's going to be like. Oh, honestly, wind me up. The dream all of us would have to go in and represent our country. Outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. And I don't think it would sit right. I think some of you have said it wouldn't sit right, would it, with some of the other players as well? It certainly wouldn't. We are looking. I mean, I usually do, because the other thing, I usually do a fan of the week. Now, I think there's only one fan of the week this week. Hang on, my thing has froze. There we go. It's been a really good session tonight. Let me just scroll back through. Bear with me. I think Charlie Kelly, fan of the week this week for signing up and becoming a member alongside Josh and Gay 102. Thank you so much, lads. Really, really appreciate it. So yeah, England tickets go on sale next week. So get signed up. You can join the My England free. That's free. You don't have to be a Travel Club member to join that. So get signed up on that, and you do get tickets before general sale. Has White got any significant stakes? No, I think he has. Club fans don't give a shit about England, do they? Couldn't care less. They could not care less. And that's why we're here. That is why we're all here tonight, and why we're here every single Sunday. And I do these videos because we're the ones that care. No, club fans do not give a damn. I think you might have done Matt's channel. You certainly did. You certainly did for the quiz, mate. You'll have definitely got that. That alone, mate. I will be sending your parcel tomorrow. So congratulations on winning the quiz. If everyone's new and you haven't seen the quiz, check it out. I think it's on the... I watched it back, actually. I'm not sure how well it worked back, but I think, I really enjoyed it. I think some of you did suggest we do this more often, so I'll have a look. It's just whether the internet can keep up with everybody on the same thing at the same time. It's just tricky to do a quiz. Maybe I think of another way we can do it. I don't know. But look, thank you all so much for watching. I usually on for an hour, so we're coming up to the hour mark now. I will have a great week. Back into school, work, whatever it is you're doing. It's been a great Christmas for me, and I hope you've all had a great Christmas and New Year as well. Here's to 2025. There's no trophy up for grabs, but hopefully it's the start of a New England era. Start of an England era without Gareth Southgate completely anywhere near it. Hope you all have a fantastic week. I will see you all next Sunday. I am 100% working on that documentary. I promise you. Just please bear with me. I promise you. Towards the end of January. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all on my next video.